Hello guys, in this recording you'll see the last two topics from the stage number 1. Topic 1.7 measuring instruments and topic 1.8 safety regulations when using measuring instruments. So let's start with topic 1.7 measurements and nature. You may remember we have several fundamental magnitudes and they are based on natural constants. This means that they are the same in all the universe. And when we measure something, and we have seen the definition of measure, we determine experimentally the value of a physical quantity using the appropriate instrument. And that's important because if we have different magnitudes, we have different instruments to measure them. We have length measuring instruments, such as a ruler, mass measuring instruments, like a balance, and time measuring instruments, like a clock or a timer. So let's start with length measuring instruments. In ancient instruments, we have human body. That's the reason behind some units such as foot and an inches. For example, 1 inch is the distance from the tip of your thumb to the first joint, and that has a problem. That it's different for every person because every person has a different size. And then we have yards. Yard is the distance from the tip of the nose to the fingertips of King Henry I. And that's a problem. First of all, the king is already dead, and even if he's alive, you cannot take him to every place that you need to measure. So we develop roads and belts that are like ancient rulers, and you they print different marks that represent different units. And now, in modern instruments, we have calipers, like the one used in the lab practice, micrometers, and measuring tapes or flexometers. For the mass measuring instruments, in ancient instruments, we have scales by the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. And for modern instruments, we have electronic balances. They can display the weight of something. And for example, this electronic balance is used to measure amounts so small as 1 microgram. You want to do if you want to measure something like that, you for example, if you have a grain of salt, you need to pulverize that grain of salt and take a pinch and place it there. It even has crystals to avoid any disturbance in the weight caused by airflow. And then we have time measuring instruments. For Asian instruments, we have sundials, candle clocks, hourglasses, and water clocks. For example, in the candle clock, we have different marks here, and they are related with the time it takes to the candle to descend a portion. In water clocks, we have something similar. They know the relationship of the time that it takes to descend 1 mark, and also to have an empty container. For the modern instruments, we have mechanical clocks, quartz clocks, and digital clocks. And even related with modern physics, especially with atomic physics, we have atomic clocks. And they are so precise that they have an error of 1 second every 3,000 years. They are super precise. And finally, safety regulations when using measuring instruments. These safety regulations are basically rules for the laboratory. So let's start. The number one, think about what you're doing carefully and pay attention to what the teacher points out to you. And number two, follow carefully the instructions. Doubt, ask your teacher or the person in charge. Number three, wear the right clothes. Those safety glasses, gloves, lab coat, the proper shoes will work as an extra barrier. They will protect you and protect the experiment. Number four, it may be sound obvious, but it's not that obvious, and is don't drink or eat in the laboratory. Why? Because it can your food drink can get contaminated by any acid, bacteria, pathogen, or some other chemical. Number five, pay attention to instructions teacher or laboratory assistant. Number 6, keep the laboratory clean and tidy. Please do a favor to the next person that is going to use the material after you. Number 7, keep the place where you have any instrument with electrical contents perfectly clean and dry. Also, read the instructions for using the instrument if you have the opportunity. And number 8, it's more for us, is that teacher or the personnel in charge should always be supervising the practice and we should never be absent from the laboratory. And that's it. The video covering the topics 1.7 and 1.8. See you guys.